Welcome to This Week in Education Law School Administrator's Guide, episode number 10. Each week, I share up-to-date court decisions on education law. I pay special attention to the court decisions and arguments related to school administrators' daily work. Today, I focus on a case about what personnel information of public employees must be disclosed to the public. In this case, Jonathan Starbuck was a student in Williamsburg James City County Schools in Virginia. In this case, Rick Wilmer was a teacher and the head football coach at Fisher's High School in Hamilton's Southeastern schools in the state of Indiana. In September 2016, Wilmer was placed on paid leave following an incident with a student during class. His school announced the discipline, and the local news station WTHR-TV reported on it. 3 months later, the school district converted Wilmer's leave from paid to unpaid. The local news station made numerous attempts to obtain more information from the school district about Wilmer's discipline. Ultimately, it formally requested access to and copies of the portions of Wilmer's personnel file that contained disclosable information under Indiana statute, which requires public agencies to disclose 3 types of information in public employee personnel files: basic employee identifying information, information about formal charges, and the factual basis for certain type of final discipline. The school district responded by sending some information in an email to the local news station, but not providing copies of the underlying documents containing the requested information. As for Wilmer's discipline, the school district stated that Mr. Wilmer was suspended for 5 days without pay on December 14, 2016, due to not implementing instructions for classroom management strategies consistent with Board of School Trustee Policy G02.06. That policy is titled Staff Conduct and contains broad requirements for staff, like requiring them to demonstrate behaviors which contribute toward an appropriate school atmosphere. The news station was unsatisfied with the school district's response and brought a lawsuit. It sought copies and access to Wilmer's disclosable records, all disclosable data comprising the factual basis for Wilmer's discipline. The trial court ruled in favor of the school district, finding that the news station was not entitled to specific documents in Wilmer's personnel file and that the school district provided a sufficient factual basis. The news station appealed, and the Court of Appeals affirmed. The news station sought transfer from the Indiana Court of Appeals. Later, the Indiana Supreme Court affirmed in part and remanded in part, holding that, first, the news station was not entitled to the underlying documents because an agency may compile the required documents into a new document. Second, the required factual basis for discipline must contain facts about the employee's acts that cause the discipline. The Indiana statute requires public agencies, public schools included, to provide certain types of information, but not the underlying documents. When it comes to personnel information, public agencies may refuse to disclose it, but they cannot withhold 3 categories of information. The first category is basic identifying information, including the names, compensation, job title, business address, business telephone number, job description, education and training background, previous work experience, or dates of first and last employment of a present or former officer or employee of the agency. The second category is information relating to the status of any formal charges against the employee. The third category is the factual basis for a disciplinary action in which final action has been taken and that resulted in the employee being suspended, demoted, and discharged. The above 3 categories of personnel information must be disclosed, but public agencies don't have to provide the underlying documents. For example, the school district can turn over information of a job description without an original job posting. Also, because the statute references information in personnel files, not documents, the school district can compile the required 3 categories of information into a new document and allow any person to inspect and copy the public records. Of course, the school district is not prohibited from turning over the underlying documents in personnel files, and there are strong arguments for doing so, including information transparency, authenticity, and accuracy. But according to the Indiana statute, the school district has the discretion of not disclosing the underlying documents in their employees' personnel file. The Indiana Supreme Court also held that the school district disclosed the first 2 categories of information, which were identifying information and information about formal charges, but not the information in the 3rd category. The school district must provide a sufficient factual basis of what led to an employee's discipline. Here, a factual basis doesn't mean the school district has to provide every intricate detail about what caused it to discipline an employee, nor does it mean a conclusion by the school district that an employee violated what policy. The school district must disclose facts so that a reasonable person can understand what an employee did to deserve discipline. The school district disclosed the information that Mr. Wilmer was suspended for 5 days without pay on December 14, 2016, due to not implementing instructions for classroom management strategies consistent with Board of School Trustees Policy G02.06. The court noted that the school district provided no facts about Wilmer's action that led to his suspension. It only concludes that he violated a broad policy. It doesn't even say when he violated that policy. The school district only disclosed the date that Wilmer was put on suspension. A reasonable person would not know what Wilmer did to merit discipline, only that the school district decided to discipline him because the school district decided he violated a policy. Moreover, the school district's disclosure referred to a broad conclusion that its employee failed to demonstrate behaviors which contribute toward an appropriate school atmosphere. It is unclear which requirement Wilmer violated, let alone what he did to warrant discipline. No reasonable person could read the school district's statement and policy and understand why the school district disciplined Wilmer. In this video, I discussed what personnel information of public employees must be disclosed to the public and what is considered as sufficient factual-based information by courts. I hope the case I introduced today is helpful for your daily work. I'll see you next week in This Week in Education Law, School Administrator's Guide.